Hello and welcome to a new video on Skolera. On today's video we'll continue looking at the admin interface from Skolera, and today we're going to inspect what we do and what we can find under the tracking section. Under tracking we have two main things: system logs and reports. System logs, it's pretty self-descriptory, and when you think about it, it's a log of every action that's been taken on the system. Who did this action? What was his role? What was the action done? Who were the affected components? Who were the affected users? And so on. In many of them, you'll also see the view changes, where it will actually even record what changes were made. So even if a teacher changes a grade, you can track it back and not only find who did the changes, but what was the original grade and how it was changed, and so on. You can, of course, always filter these lists by a particular date, particular role, action, user, the name of a particular user, affected components, and even by an IP address if you want to check who did something from inside the school or who did something from outside the school, or so on. Now, the next part is the reports part, and that has three main sections. Students' reports. This is where we can generate reports about the student's gradebook, just like we would do it from inside the course or from inside the class, but instead of jumping from one class to another, you can just make these changes by changing the selections that you have here. Attendance records for the students. You can also check their attendance records. Behavior notes, and check the behavior notes that were written. And progress reports, where you can create the progress reports and actually assign them to the different courses and grades. Now, it's important to take a look at these progress reports, where I would actually suggest that we do the progress reports in a separate video because it's quite condensed, and I would like to take it into more details in there. But this is where we will access and how we'll get to it. Now, the other thing that we also have here are reports based on teachers. Remember, in our landing page on the home page, we talked about teachers' work, and we said that the graph shows a collective average work of teachers. But here I have it in details. Based on a particular date range, you can filter by section, stages, and levels. A teacher's name, you can search by a particular teacher by name, and it will then record this teacher, how much content he did, lesson plans, how many assignments, not graded assignments. How many assignments did he give to the students, and the students handed back, and 5 days have passed and he hasn't entered the grades yet. So that's the non-graded assignments. Number of quizzes that he created, grade items, posts, and messages that this user has created. Of course, for a lot of the schools, this is one of the reports that is strongly used for teacher appraisal. It's not the only one, but it's a very powerful one to use as well with their interaction on the system. Finally, the last part is analysis and reports. This is a crucial part. Analysis and reports is built on specially customized reports for your school. How does that work? You tell us what the report looks like, how is the data aggregated, how is it handled and calculated. We do all of this, we present the design, and then it will be added here in the list of available reports for you. Let's move this a bit of the way. Okay, right there. You can then select the report that you want. Once you select any of the reports, actually, let's just select any of the reports right here, you will find that you have a number of settings that you can add. If there is a required setting, it will have a red dot next to it. So actually, let's go to something like absent students, right up there. Okay, you can see now that the start date is a required, so you have to fill this in. Okay, you would fill in, if it's something that's related to dates, you have to fill in the start and end date, or maybe just one of them, as in this case. Additional parameters, these are used for specialized reports, where it's an additional parameter that you would put. We will agree on it, and you will be told what these parameters and how they would be written to provide the data that you need. Then you would either select from a section, a complete section, or you can select from users. Okay? In the section, you can add multiple sections if the report is available for multiple sections, or it could be just related to a particular section. And of course, for users, you can then select which role you want to generate reports for. Okay, and then based on that role, you select the names of the users that you would want. Once you have all this, if it's something that's related to grading periods, then you would need the grading period and grading scales to select, do I want this report for term 1 only, term 1 or term 2, or just quarter 1, and so on, and which grading scales to use. Am I going to show it as colors? Am I going to show it as percentages, GPA, or a mixture of all of these different things? And in other settings, you can actually add an email to which the report will be sent. We will send the report to that particular email. Once you put all of these settings, which remember, they will differ from one report to another. Okay, but once you fill in the required settings, you would then choose one of 3 actions. Either to preview the report, which means that the report will be downloaded onto your computer either as a PDF or an Excel file, depending on how you request the report to be generated. Or you can generate the report, which will send this report by email to the emails you've entered down here. Or publish now, and this is only used when we are publishing reports to students and parents, where you would then send to each student his own report card and to the parent his children's report cards, which they can then download themselves and add to their own libraries or add to their own, keep on their own devices. So these are the different choices that we have for the reports. Now do remember that when we're talking about these reports, this is one of the most powerful features of Skolera. As we said, these are customized reports. We actually have an independent reporting engine that works and talks directly to the database. So any information and any data found in the database, we can retrieve this data, we can manipulate the data and present it in whichever way you decide or you want to see it. This is, as I said, one of the strong features that we have, and a feature that makes Scalera really useful in generating huge numbers of reports that are accessible and that are available for schools. So this is for our session today, and in our session we've gone through the tracking part, system logs, and then the individualized reports, student reports, teachers reports, and of course the analysis and reports, which is the most important feature that we have in the reporting engine with Scalera. Thank you for joining us in our session today, and we hope to see you in future videos on Scalera.